Session. And let's see, we are on item 8, recognitions. We have none. First reading, item 9, is consideration of an ordinance rezone property located at 236 Orwell Road from OC Office Center District to SC1 Planned Unit Commercial Development. Stan.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Morning.
Welcome, Councilman Pretty. We have given you the materials pertinent to this rezoning request. It's in your packet, and this item was presented to the Planning Commission at their last meeting, and they are recommending approval of it to you. The area adjoining this rezoning request is SC1. The property is currently devoted to commercial uses, and so they'll be changing to a Discount Tire Center that will be located there, and the SC1 fits that property better and consolidates that zoning within that area into one zoning scheme. So we are supportive of it and would recommend approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for approval and a second. Before we vote, council, we need to have the public hearing. This is the ordinance on first reading. So if there's anyone present who would like to be heard on this ordinance, either in support of or in opposition to, if you let it be known at this time, I'll be happy to call on you and let you address the council.
Mr. Chairman, let it be duly noted that the Buchanan zoning request is no relationship to me.
So noted. So noted. Okay, hearing none, seeing none as far as the public hearing, we'll close the public hearing. Any questions of council? If not, please vote.
And the vote is unanimous.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
You're welcome. Item 2 under first reading, the ordinance to amend Title 15, Chapter 9 pertaining to parking zones, time restrictions, and penalties for violations. Mr. Corley, Captain Corley, sorry, Major Corley, sorry, I'll get it right in a minute.
Doesn't matter. Corley. Good morning, council.
Morning.
Months back, I believe a recommendation was brought before the council about revising the time to parking downtown from 1 hour to 2 hours and increasing the fine to $10. The question was whether or not the ordinance needed to be revised to do that. In discussions with Mr. Cobb, we agreed that that needed to occur. And while we're doing that, what we decided would probably be in best interest is to revamp Chapter 9, because it had a lot of provisions strictly dealing with metered parking, which we don't currently do. So the major parts of this ordinance that are revised to go alongside with what we are doing is Section 901, the first provision, that just basically allows the mayor, the chief of police, based on public safety reasons or through the traffic engineer, design of parking areas, to erect signs or meters if they choose to regulate parking. The next big change was in Section 905, which just basically allows what we're doing now as far as enforcement, marking tires downtown. So it basically says to evade that would be a specific parking violation. And the final thing, and most importantly, to keep us from having to come back and change the ordinance every time the council wants to either change the time restrictions on signs or increase or decrease the fines, Section 909 states that the mayor, the chief of police can make that recommendation, and this council can approve it by resolution only instead of having 2 readings to change an ordinance.
Okay, any questions of council on this particular ordinance on first
Mr. Chairman.
reading? Go ahead, sir.
Major Corley, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
As it relates to no city tag and sticker,
Yes, sir.
what if those who only have a county tag, what do we do there if they park downtown?
Those are on the schedule, the appendix to the ordinance.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how to get that.
No county residents who is not required. to
Right,
buy
no,
city
they don't.
tag.
Only if you're a city resident. So the officer or the enforcement officer would check the tag, and if it's registered to a city address, then if the sticker's not there, then they'll mark that on the citation.
But the county resident, if he's parked downtown,
they would not be charged or marked on the citation for a city sticker. They're not required to have one.
I understand. Okay. Thank you.
Mayor,
Any other questions?
Mayor, I just got a statement. I only wish that the fine for parking in a disabled parking space should be more.
Oh, yes, sir, that's right.
We got so much of that, it's unbelievable.
I understand. Unfortunately, that's regulated by state statute. The state
Okay, I
statute
got
requires
you.
a $50 fine.
All right,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Had to take it to the legislature.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions of council on this ordinance?
Move the approval.
Okay, we have a motion for approval, and we have a second. Before we vote, council, we need again have a public hearing on the ordinance on first reading. I'll ask anyone here who'd like to be heard on this matter, either pro or con. If you would, let me know. Hearing none, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any additional questions of council? If not, please vote.
And the vote passes with 7 members in favor, 1 voting no.
Okay. Okay, we have no second readings. New business. Item 1 is consideration of contract for computer leasing. Ms. White.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is the time that we needed to receive proposals for computer leasing. We took those proposals and we received 2. One was from Dell Marketing and the other was from CDW. And the lowest and best proposal was Dell Marketing for 75 computers that we will be leasing over a 3-year term.
Susan, those 3 years are about how soon we need to turn over new
We
computers anyway.
we upgrade every 3 years.
After the 3 years, we own the computers?
We do.
Okay, and then we trade those in when we get new ones, or what do we do? with it?
Either that or we recycle them through other departments.
That's why we got the old ones, city council does.
Right. That's right.
Okay, any other questions of the contract? Council.
Move the approval.
Okay, we have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Discussion. Council, please vote.
And the motion passes with 7
Oh, you
members in favor, 1 abstaining.
Okay. Item 2, consideration of contract for OJI reinsurance and third-party administrator.
It's time again to send out proposals for the OJI and third-party administrator. We received 2 and 1 no bid, and Brentwood Services Administrators is the low proposal again this year.
Okay. Have a contract for council consideration. Any questions? Ms. White? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, second?
Second.
And a second. Discussion from council. Council, please vote.
And the motion passes 7 members in favor, 1 abstaining.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Item 3 is a resolution approving the building of a new city court building. You all have a copy of that resolution. The only thing to point out here is the amount of money that we're currently paying for leasing a city court building and leasing space for a city drug court. That's in the amount of what? $146,000 for both of them. We feel like we can borrow the money, pay it back on that same amount of money. Should not cost the city any more than what we're now paying. Build a used city court building on property currently owned by the city of Jackson, right across from the PD on that vacant property. We have, obviously, we have some limitations where we are. It's been home for city court for 20-something years, not without issues, but mainly the space has been outgrown, and we do have a few more issues. So we have City Court Judge Blake Anderson here. Judge, if you'd come up and maybe share anything that you'd like to share about your current facility. And also have Ms. Darrell Hubbard here, I think it was. Thank you, Judge.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jackson City Court is like the emergency room to the hospital. We never know how many people we're going to get. We don't know the severity of the condition of the person or the alleged victims in court. Then we go to the emergency room. Our numbers continue to grow, and we are no longer have any room for expansion at city court. There's roughly 100 or 200 people per day that come to city court. And unfortunately, as a ancillary issue, that they're all parking downtown, which frustrates the merchants. This issue arose because of the amount of money that the city is paying for insurance, for rent on both our city court and our drug treatment court. The issue also arose when the county proposed the city make a proposal to locate at the site of the proposed new jail. Mayor Jimmy Harris has been very inclusive of the whole community, has done a very professional job. They've looked at jails all over the country, and I commend them for being forthcoming to us and generous to us. As a result of their proposal, there's just not enough room for Jackson City Court at that location. People just don't realize the size and the enormity of of city court. We just have a huge number of people, a huge parking issue, and as the city keeps growing, like by annexation and a new fire station, there's more cases I hear. For any crime that occurs in the Jackson city limits, I'm the first person to hear that case. There's one exception, that being Metro Narcotics. Some of those cases go to Judge Harvey. I'm at the bottom of the judicial totem pole. Everything starts with me. I work 24/7, and there's a sensitive issue of security issues. We're now transporting people from the jail to city court in an alley that is not secured by gates. It cannot be secured by gates because of fire issues. And I handle everything from shoplifting to murder to rape, and we have rapists, alleged rapists and murderers that are being transported and dropped out in an alley. The city clerk is operating out of closets. My office is now taken for a conference room for the DAs and for the witnesses and victims. And I can't imagine where we'd be 2 years from now. That's the time that Mr. Dawson, I believe, said it would take to build a city jail. There being no room at the location for the county, the proposed best area would be just on the south side of the Jackson Police Station.
You know, our files are, we run out of space, and our files are not in the police department where they hang out, and it's just not a secure environment for sensitive documents. Logistically speaking, the judge is right. If somebody really wanted to get somebody out of that alley, it wouldn't take a whole lot. And the judge's parking is an issue for me too, because he walks in and out. And I just really think it would be he needs a more secure environment. I think we just need more space, period.
Okay, any questions of council, either for the judge or Mr. Hubbard, as far as the need? And obviously, if council approves, we'll have the judge and his staff meet with our architects, which is contained in the resolution. Looking at the total cost of the facility itself at 2.9 million, which is exactly the cost of repaying that would be what we're paying in lease payments for both buildings, for city court and for drug court. Any questions of council?
Mayor, if we approve this, will the administration come back to us to approve funding for engineering or architectural cost or?
Well, the architectural, we've already
Is it built
taken
in?
bids on that, and it is enclosed in the resolution itself. The HFR here locally went through the process of selecting those consultants with a committee. So I think at this point, we've done some test borings on the site to make sure that the building was going to be stable and the property was suitable for construction, which it is. We've had those test borings completed. The courts came in positive, but we had no meetings yet with the architectural firm. Our first priority would be to get Judge Anderson and Mr. Hubbard and the staff to sit down with the architects and discuss staff and exactly the floor plan of what's going to be needed for them. And then we'll go from there. But as far as any additional action for council, once the resolution is approved, then we'll be starting, obviously, there'll be a contract with the construction company, which will come before the council, and the total cost of construction. And if the total cost of construction runs more than $2.9 million, the architectural firm will pay the difference, right? They will.
They will.
Mayor, it will require a budget amendment that will be brought back.
Okay,
Okay.
a budget amendment and a
It will
contract.
require an amendment that we'll bring back next month.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question. I know in the past project that we worked on, we had talked about when we had a budget committee, when we started doing some of the bids, that we would have a council member on the committee also. Do we have a council member on this committee when we did this project here?
There was no council person on this committee.
Okay, so I don't know if we need to do a resolution. I think we did have a issue one time that we did bring up at one meeting, that we would like to have a council member from time to time to be on the committee also when we do bids on.
Is that for selection of the architect and engineers? Would that be for that purpose,
Yes, sir.
for the selection of it? Okay. Why don't we do this? I don't know. I don't remember a resolution. I'll be happy to put together a resolution.
I don't think we did a resolution. We did discuss it, but I mean, I won't.
Okay.
because
Why
like
don't, why don't we, council, just, let's have a resolution put together. Are you all okay with a council member being part of the discussion for A&E services?
That's fine.
Right.
And then, we'll select, I guess staff will select her and ask one of you all to serve in that capacity. But I'll put together a resolution and have it for council next meeting. Okay?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
move we adopt a resolution approve the building of a new city court building.
Okay, we have a
Second.
motion. for
Second.
approved. Second. Any additional discussion?
Mayor, if I may, bottom line on this is that we'll be paying on a note payment pretty much the same amount we're paying for rent now.
Exactly,
Then when the note is up, we'll actually own the building and still
Exactly.
continue to pay rent from there forward.
exactly.
Thank you.
I think we put over how much money we put into leasing over the years? 2.2 million. So at least we will own this building. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion from council? Council, please vote.
And the vote is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Thank you, Mr. Hubbard. Item 4 is a resolution to acquire facility to allow the city to relocate 2 sub-departments. Those 2 sub-departments are under Parks and Recreation. They are Parks and Maintenance and Groundskeeping, which we obtained their current location in 1991, I think. It was constructed for TBA, permanent industrial, for their electrical construction office. It was built in 1940s. We have a permanent industrial easement made to the city of Jackson, Tennessee, which we paid $122,500 for back in 1991. Obviously, the facility is old. We have major issues with both those buildings, and staff has found a suitable site, suitable building, which is on Commerce Street. It's only about 1,000 feet more or less from the current location. So moving shouldn't be a major issue. But we feel for the safety of the employees and for just continued maintenance costs, that it'd be well intended for the city to go ahead and move toward buying a new existing building for the parks maintenance and groundskeeping. So Tony, both of those are under you. Is that for you?
Well, as the city has grown, so has the responsibilities of these 2 departments. a lot of people are unaware that park maintenance, even though it's listed as park maintenance, does all of the maintenance work on all of the public buildings. I think we've got close to, 90-something public buildings that they take care of. And groundskeeping also does our parks, but also does a lot of right-of-way cutting. The facilities have become too small, too antiquated for those two departments. Park maintenance needs additional space for carpentry work, a shop to build things. Groundskeeping, we're storing some of our equipment, tractors that are costing $30,000 and $40,000 outdoors a lot of the time. The facility that we've looked at will accommodate us storing them inside, even leaving them on the truck. The ceiling is high enough that they can be stored inside. We have had several instances where we're located now where, unfortunately, kids have stole one of our trucks, and for whatever reason, they always find it at Liberty's parking lot, and they just joyride, and they jump out, and they leave it running. So we've had several instances where a truck was stolen from the site we're at now. It's really outgrown its use. It's an old facility.
Tony, both of these sub-departments would go into the same building?
Go into the same building, but they will have separate spaces. They will be in the same building. There will be some slight modifications to accommodate both of them, but it's it's enough space for both departments.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this will come also later on, correct me if I'm wrong, through a budget amendment?
Yes, it would come back to you in January.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the resolution.
Okay, we have a
Second.
motion and a second. I want the council to know that once, get to be some negotiation for that particular facility. We have an appraised value of it, and it is our intent not to exceed that appraised value. And if we see that negotiations fail, then we'll bring the issue back to council to see if the council wants to either can the effort or move up the negotiation. So we'll see how the negotiations go within the next month or so.
Mayor, you may have told us, what is the appraisal value?
Appraised value is $360,000. And I think it's on the books at Madison County for 600 and something thousand, so it's a little difference in the property valuation in Madison County and what the appraised value, and their asking price, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay, we have a motion, I think, on a second.
Those funds would come out of the general fund?
It'll be on a loan, yes, we'll borrow the money and go ahead. No, we have existing funding in our capital.
Okay.
So we have the existing capital in-house to buy that, council. Okay? We have a motion and a second. Additional discussion. Council, please vote.
And the vote is unanimous.
Thank you, Councilman Mayor. And Mayor, I said,
Thank you.
Mr. Pretty, welcome to the council. He's my neighbor, so it's very good. Good guy.
Thank you. Okay, the next resolution is resolution declaring the intent of the city of Jackson to reimburse itself for certain capital expenditures incurred by the Health and Sanitation Fund, Sportsplex Fund, with proceeds of an 8-year capital outlay note to be issued by the city of Jackson. Council need to understand that both of these departments are enterprise funds. They pay their own way. And the repayment of that $1.7 million will come from those funds and not from the general fund. So with that, Al?
Yes, Mayor and Council, good morning. Normally, we come to you with a resolution to borrow funds in advance of the capital expenditures. And the state provides that if we're going to reimburse ourselves for capital expenditures already incurred, that we have to do a resolution allowing for this reimbursement. And this is what it's for. And the mayor already explained that these expenses, these capital expenditures were incurred by Health and Sanitation, which is a special revenue fund, and the Sportsplex Fund, which is an enterprise fund. And in hindsight, we should have come forward and officially borrowed the money from the general fund, which is possible to do, just as if you're borrowing from an outside entity. And ATA has, for the last 2 years, given us a finding for health and sanitation, and this year they would be one also for the Sportsplex. Health and sanitation owes a total of something like $2 million to the general fund. The Sportsplex owes $314,000. But you can only borrow money for capital. You can't borrow it for other expenditures. So we will still get a finding on health and sanitation. But let me just give you an idea real quickly here of what these monies were expended for, looking at health and sanitation. And the past year is the biggest portion of the $1,251,000. And you can see that the three items that really made that up were the claw trucks. You can see the claw trucks averaging $150,000 for each vehicle, making up the bulk of that $589,000. And then going back in previous years, where we also had necessity for replacing a sweeper and other costs, all heavy-duty truck-related type items. And again, Kathleen Honeycutt is here. If you have any questions about what those expenditures were for, the necessity of them, again, looking back in hindsight, what we should have done is come to you as a council and had the official borrowing mechanism to borrow from the general fund. This is done all the time. We just thought we would be able to pay back the funds over the normal course of a couple years. But our garbage rates, both commercial and residential, really weren't designed, as ATA has reminded us. They were designed for the collection of garbage and the dumping of garbage, along with leaf raking and other pickup of items that are left out on the street. But they're not designed, these rates aren't designed to cover expenditures like this. So that's the health and sanitation. The Sportsplex items was not in as bad a situation. We're not in as bad a situation. And let me just give you an idea of what the Sportsplex has expended monies for. In fact, with the Sportsplex, we're actually covering 1 year going forward in FY18, where the budget is $115,000. And you can see that going back in time here, the main expenditures were, if you're familiar with the backstops at any baseball field, and especially at the Sportsplex, they're concrete up to a point, like 3 feet high, and then your aluminum or netting and things go up above that. And that concrete has dissipated and has to be replaced over, this is our 12th full season coming up, and we also had parking lot damage that had to be taken care of. And you can see we're going on in 18 with continuation of additional backstop repairs is the biggest portion of that $115,000. So basically what we're asking for, and these two resolutions go together. The first resolution here is we're asking for the permission of the council to reimburse ourselves for these capital expenditures that were mainly done in the past, if you pass the next resolution, which is to borrow $1.7 million. And I'll go into that, but I think this one needs to be taken separately, item 5.
Okay.
So basically, he's been talking about item 5 and 6, is that correct?
Well, I have meshed them together, but you have to vote on item 5
I understand,
first.
but you've been talking about
Yes.
both of them.
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay, we're talking about a vote on item 5. Is there any
Mayor,
First of all, we need a motion. Go ahead.
Mayor, if I would have a question. I'm a little confused on the health and sanitation. You
Yes.
said the garbage rate is not designed to cover capital outlay, but where's the money gonna come from to pay the note off? I thought we were saying that the garbage rate was enough to cover the
Right,
no
very,
payments.
very good question. Okay, over the last 2 to 3 years, with TDEC and the state comptroller's permission, we have tried to make this special revenue fund stand on its own. Well, it doesn't have any human resource, accounting, all of the various functions that are provided in the general fund. So we have charged the overhead based on a rate that was approved by TDEC and the state comptroller.
We're reducing that,
Yeah, it would had averaged about $700,000 a year.
okay.
We're
And that
with-
extra is how we're gonna pay
We
the note
don't
off.
have to do that. That was just our effort to make it stand on its own. We're reducing that. Now, with the same question should be asked on the Sportsplex. The Sportsplex, if you remember, started out borrowing $9 million of the $13.4 million it took to construct it. And right now, in 2008, FY18, we're paying off that final debt to Bancorp South on 12-year capital outlay notes. So our total debt service is being reduced $343,000 from $717 to $374. So we'll pick up another $60,000 or $80,000 because of this borrowing, but we're getting the benefit of reducing $343,000 by paying off those original 12-year capital outlay notes.
Okay.
So it's a very good question. The
Yeah,
capability.
going back to health and sanitation, my question, or my point to make sure I understand is that we're not gonna need to go up on the garbage rates to be able to cover this note.
No.
Okay.
No.
That was my understanding. I want to
Right.
make sure that was.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're not.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
That is not the intent. So I guess, Mayor, we need to vote on.
Okay, on the resolution, number 5, Al's gone over both of them, but let's handle number 5. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second? Second, discussion from council. Council, please vote. Resolution number 5.
And the motion passes with 7 members in favor, 1 abstaining.
Okay, item 6 is tied to 5, and Al may have covered that enough for you. If not, we'll be happy.
This is the note itself in the format required by the state comptroller's office, the local government portion. And basically, it allows, if you borrow less than $2 million, you can do what's called an informal bid. And you can simply call 3 banks and get written quotes, which we did. The winner of those 3 was Jackson National at a rate of 2.65 versus the other 2 bids that came in at 3.95 and 3.17. So we're still able to borrow money at a very reasonable rate. And this is the formal note that will be used to secure these funds if you approve this. The funds we have not asked for until January 15th. Again, we're not in that much of a hurry for them. We want to get through the tax season. But basically, I think the mayor said the other night, this is allowing us to pay ourselves back and still make these 2 funds stand on their own as far as their capital expenditures. And they both should be capable of doing that.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion for approval, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion from council. Council, please vote.
And the motion passes with 7 members in favor, 1 abstaining.
Okay, item 7 is consider the resolution to implement eminent domain action to acquire property from McKellen Road Improvements. And I think based upon results of the last meeting, that we were going to make contact with 2 or 3 property owners on McClellan Road and let them negotiate there with the council.
I need 3 hands who wants to talk to. In the time between the last meeting and this one, I have sent letters to the folks that we're dealing with. I've also hand-delivered some to others. One is out of state. In fact, I just got a notice that she's called back. Let me explain what this is and what this isn't. This is not a decision to go out and take anybody's property. This is a decision to allow me to have the ability to get to closure on all the parcels that we need for this project. Getting half of the pieces or even all but one will not allow us to do this project. I have reached agreement with a few of them about price, but I'm not in a position to start buying property because it occurred to me, if I can't get all of them, I don't need any of them. So this allows us to go forward on what I believe is a very important safety project for that road. I drive it twice a day, and it allows me to go forward, and if we can't agree on a fair price, a judge will set the fair price, or it could be a jury will set the fair price. This just allows me to have some negotiating leverage to force them to agree or to acquire the property and let somebody else agree on what the price is. Does that make sense? So what I'm asking you today is not to take anything, but to give me the ability to negotiate and to start closing transactions with people who are willing to sell it at a price we agree to pay. And that's how it's done at the state level, national level, county level, every level. It doesn't make sense for me to start buying property if I can't be sure I can get it all.
This may be a good opportunity to ask if there's any residents here that we've asked to appear before the council to discuss their issues with the city, asking them for their property to make some road improvements. And if there's anyone here, I'll be happy to have you come up and discuss that with council. I see none here, so, council, I guess it falls back to you. We had Bemis Mill under that last meeting. Did we approve
Right.
that? We
Right.
approved that.
We did,
one, okay.
yes.
Just- Okay. So, council, it's back to you on eminent domain for the road improvements for.
Move the approval.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second. Discussion from council. Council, please vote.
The motion passes with 6 members in favor, 1 voting no, and 1 abstaining.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cobb. Item 8, appointment of the Charter Review Committee. Those Charter Review Committee members are as follows. District 1, Gary Pickens. District 2, Lionel Gunn. District 3, Richard Donnell. District 4, Neil Huntsman. District 5, Gabe Hart. District 6, Bart Swift. District 7, Tammy Boyd. District 8, Brent Cooper. And District 9 would be Steve Little. That's my recommendation to I know y'all made those appointments yourselves, as council members, but I guess we need to run that by you all again and ask for approval.
So moved.
We have a motion for approval. A second?
Second.
Second. Discussion. Council, please vote.
And the vote passes with 7 members in favor.
Okay, item 9 is board appointments, Jackson Downtown Revenue Finance, Seth Chandler. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Second. Discussion. Council, please vote.
And the vote passes with 7 members in favor.
Okay, we have budget amendments, item 10, Ms. Bell.
These are the budget amendments that go in hand with the resolutions that you approved. The first one is for the capital outlay proceeds for the Sportsplex, the amount of $429,000.
So moved.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A second. Discussion from council. Council, please vote.
And the vote passes with 6 members in favor, 1 abstaining.
The second amendment that you have is in conjunction with the solid waste fund in the amount of, budget amendment in the amount of $1,251,420,000.
So moved.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And second. Discussion. Council, please vote.
And the
Thank you.
motion-
Thank you,
motion
Ms. Bell.
passes with 6 members in favor, 1 abstaining.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. Okay, invoices over $10,000.
So moved.
Have a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second. Discussion. Council, please vote.
The motion passes with 6 members in favor, 1 abstaining.
There being no further business, meeting is adjourned.
Good job.
Thank you, ladies.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.